This is a review for Fantastic Four Solve Everything. Now, it's not called it. It's if you try and find it, it's just called Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman, Volume 1. It doesn't have a title specifically because it's because the first 3 issues are one story, and then the other 2 are one-shot issues, which I can see why. And plus, his Hickman's story as it's kind of coming out, and yes, I know. Well, at the time, I know who died because, and I'm gonna because right now there's this big thing about the 3 event, but the story called 3, where one of them's gonna die. Yes, I know who's gonna die. I'm not gonna mention it here, but you can. And please kind of refrain from the comments. Well, okay, I don't know. Just right now, as this is new right now, months later, go ahead. I don't give a shit. But just kind of keep it quiet for the people who don't know right now. So anyway, this is Hickman's beginning of his run. Now, I'm gonna say this first off. This run's awesome. And I'm probably not going to say a lot of negative stuff about. Well, I got a few problems with this volume first, and I'm calling it Solves Everything because the majority of it is the story arc solves everything, and the other 2 work off of it. And plus, just saying Hickman's Fantastic Four Volume 1 is as catchy as Solve Everything to me. So now this is everything Fantastic Four needs. It has crazy science, crazy concepts, and family. It focuses on family, and it has the beginning story is the thing I'm going to praise the most here because it is an awesome character study of Reed, because it really plays because he's one of the smartest, if not the smartest guy in the Marvel Universe. He's a part of the Illuminati. He's well regarded as one of the smartest. He's busy, and this honestly. And he wants to use his knowledge to better the world. That makes sense. We all want to do something that helps people, and he wants to use this to the fullest extent. So that means he's really busy, and it's causing a rift with Sue. And it deals with it because it deals with things that kind of happen when in families. Let's just say the husband in a situation gets busy, and he just wants to solve all these problems the Earth has, so he decides to do the best thing, solve everything. And this eventually leads him into meeting a team of Reed Richards from other Earths. Yes, this is a multiverse-esque story with a bunch of different kinds of Reed Richards. It's just it's awesome to look at. You're watching you're looking at something Fantastic Four when you see something that crazy. The idea is these 3 Reeds, and I assume these 3 Reeds, who all had Infinity Gauntlets, I want to point out, from their respective universes, decided to limit themselves to their Earth to help, when they could team up with other Reeds in other worlds, other Earths, and help them all, which is a awesome idea, honestly. And there's a good side to it. They want to benefit people, but there's a dark side to it. What they have to do to keep the world safe. One thing I found interesting is they captured Doctor Dooms from their Earths and basically turn them into slaves. There's this scene where there's this room full of Dooms wearing just like black spandex, like a black spandex unitard, and you just see this huge thing, and you have their Doom helmets, and they aren't smart anymore. All they can say is Doom. They're like Pokemon. It's fascinating to look at this story because, not because it's an insane story with multiple Reeds and big multiverse story. The best part is Reed Richards' psychology, because you gotta because the beginning of the story, Sue's worried that he's doing nothing but spending time with himself in his lab. And then all these other Reeds come, and he's still doing that, but on a much grander scale. That is Reed Richards. He can't even hang out with himself without going all out. And Sue's the one worried the most. She's, because, you know, husband and wife. It makes perfect sense. And there are these flashbacks throughout the arc where it's Reed throughout his childhood with his father, who looks like him, with a beard. And it's just reminders of his dad giving him advice on what to do with his life, and he tells him to be better. Not to be better with the world, but to be a better person, better friend, better husband, better father. And I love that. I love that because Reed was a genius at a young age, his father taught him to accept his differences with the world and use them. And I love the angle of that. So the main story is the part I love the most. The art here is amazing. One nitpick I want to point out is Eaglesham, the main artist, at least the artist on this arc, he draws Reed Richards too buff. He just gives a little too much muscle definition. Because Reed Richards, in my mind, shouldn't be like a muscle. It's not like he's like a 90s level muscle. It's just like he looks a little too ripped. Like, I don't want him to be a twig, but it just looks like, you know, he's been working out in between runs, in between Millar's run and his run. And the other two issues are interesting. They focus on a lot of fascinating things. Franklin Richards, like the kids, there's an issue that's kind of focused on the kids, and there's a lot of humor to this. There's this whole thing throughout this whole trade with Johnny, who has, what's the best word, this dickishness towards Spider-Man, because Franklin's the son. He really wants Spider-Man to come for his birthday. So, yeah. The two one-shots aren't terrible. They're not bad. They're just not as great as the first arc. And I here's why I don't think it was just as good. And I hate to say this, but it's a main component that really got me out of it was the art. The art for those two issues are done by Neil Edwards, because Eaglesham's not good at keeping a schedule monthly, which I'm not going to hold against. But his art isn't terrible either, Edwards, but it's trying too hard to be Brian Hitch art, and it's not at all. The worst part is the faces. Sometimes the faces just look god-awful. Too much lines. Everyone looks like they've aged like 50 years. And another thing in here, now usually I commend books, and I commend it here, but it's also a drawback against it. It references stuff from previous runs. One thing I hate when a new creative team comes on is they essentially ignore everything that was set up, at least like minor stuff, before that was set up before they started, and never touch on that. Hickman does touch on that. Here he touches on the Fantastic Force, which was a thing that was in Millar's run a lot. Now I got it, but the thing is, it works if you explain it, like you have someone explaining it, but certain things they don't. And another thing in here was the bridge device, which is this giant teleport portal thing. It's the thing that gets Richards to meet the other Reeds. And he that started in his Dark Reign mini, which I honestly do think you should go see that first. Read that first, because it kind of sets it up. Plus, you get more awesome Fantastic Four by Hickman. I'm saving you, folks. So, this book as a whole, you could tell Hickman's setting up a story, especially with the last issue. But there's this real big story that he's setting up here. It is awesome. It has family it has everything Fantastic Four should have. big crazy science, family moments, character moments. Reads the story Solve Everything is the crown jewel of this. It is awesome. If you don't feel like reading the other two, you can always read the first three. She's just awesome. So I highly recommend this book.